an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 8, Episode 7, Kill the Moon. In this excellently titled episode, the moon turns out to be a giant egg. It is known. Anybody who listens to the Song of Ice and Fire audiobooks knows what I'm talking about. Well, I guess you don't have to listen. You could read them. It's a thing that Dothraki... You know what? Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Jamie.
All right, Jamie. So what did you think of this episode the first time you watched it?
This is one of the ones I did not watch.
Sorry. Foiled again.
Yeah. I had no recollection of even trailers for this one, so it was all new. It's not bad. It's not bad. I went into, because last week we had this discussion about asking the listeners what they thought of the rest of the season, episode by episode. And when I was seeing their feedback for this one, it was largely not positive.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't remember it feeling this negatively towards it. So I watched it again this morning with like that in mind, and also trying to keep an open mind. I don't know. I think it's not bad. It's not as bad as everybody else seems to think, at least. What do you think?
I have very mixed feelings on it. On the one hand, the story is interesting enough. Like, I'm into the idea of it being like, oh, hey, so you didn't know, but the moon's an egg. It's hatching. Surprise. And also, like, it hatches and immediately lays another egg so that there's no issue with the moon. And I'm like, that doesn't feel like a thing that would happen in any species ever. But what do I know? I do also, you guys know that I love it whenever the show leans into the Doctor's an asshole. Because he is, but apparently we have to make it really, really obvious in order to actually address it in the script. And so I am here for Clara yelling at him and being like, that was incredibly patronizing and you put me in a very shitty position and you didn't give me information and fuck you. I was very disappointed in Danny for being like, yeah, but you're not done with him yet because he's still making you angry. And I'm like, this happened 10 minutes ago, Danny. Stop trying to fucking act like you know. Shut up. Stop it. So.
Well, how does he know it was 10 minutes ago? They time travel.
Yeah, but the time travel in relative to her experience has just happened.
Maybe it happened yesterday, and she's just still mad.
That's still not very much time.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Jamie. Ma'am. As soon as you feel those words beginning to come out of your mouth, clamp your lips together and rethink everything. But yeah, so I have that. The whole, like, the weirdness of the decision itself, for me, is, like, more a weakness. Because it just really does feel like I'm going to not give you any information. And he says, I trust you to make the right decision. But there's simply no way to call it the, quote, right decision if you don't know anything about what would happen to people. So, you know, you're perhaps putting the entire Earth at risk. And it turns out that he, like, knows what this thing is that's in the egg, based on the way that he talks afterward. So he knows that it's not going to be deadly to the entire population of planet Earth, but they don't know that. So he's behaving as if, like, I just had to leave you to make a a decision that was to do the right thing. And this is like not even the trolley problem, because the trolley problem, what the actual consequences would be, but that's not the case here. So I didn't appreciate his attitude. I fully agree with Clara calling him patronizing. And so, like, while the concept was cool, I feel like the overall question that the show is trying to pose doesn't work. Unless the question the show is trying to pose is the doctor an asshole? Which does work. And I stand by that, and I find it, like, almost upsetting how much more of an asshole he is this season than other seasons. I'm really curious about that in terms of the reception that this show got from people, because, like, I think in previous seasons, it would be very easy to pretend the doctor isn't as big an asshole as he is. And I could see that being very tempting to do if you just enjoy the show and you don't want to interrogate that. But this season, they're really not making it easy to do that.
One of the issues I had with this doctor, and which led into me not being excited about the show and sort of letting it go, and then just watching, when marathons were airing,
right,
was that I found Peter Capaldi's performance to be very angry and aggressive.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, that's not what I want out of the doctor. I don't need him to always be joyful and goofy. I don't need him to be overly emotional. But I need him to not always be mad. Mm-hmm. He needs to be fun sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I feel like up to this point, he has not been.
Yeah.
He's not a fun person anymore. He's mad.
And there's a lack of a compassion that in, previous episodes, I have definitely been like, you are just a dickhead. But there has also been a compassion to him, despite the fact that he's a dickhead, that while it doesn't completely offset the consequences of his actions, it does make me go, well, okay, And I feel like I can't do that here anymore, because he's just... I mean, the whole beginning of this episode is about how he told this girl that she's not special. And that has sent her off on this, like, sort of existential crisis, really.
Yeah.
Because she feels like he just thinks that she's a bad person, or just that there's nothing remarkable about her. And he refuses to take it back. He refuses. All he does is be like, how about you be the first woman on the moon? What do you think of that? To which I'm like, well, first of all, she's not. Because we've gone to the moon a variety of times now in this show. So that's just not actually what would be happening. Right.
Martha was on the moon. Mm-hmm. An entire hospital full of women were on the moon.
Mm-hmm. So that's... And I mean, we also had Clara's kids, or kids that she was, like, looking after, and the whole, what do you call it?
That wasn't our moon, though.
Oh, was it not? I thought it was our moon.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
It was a moon, not our moon.
Okay. So there's, like, the fact that that's just not true, and then it's, instead of being like, no, you are special because you are just a unique individual human being, it's, maybe you'll be special once I do something for you to make you special.
And it also goes against everything that the Doctor has said previously in his other incarnations.
That's what I was going to say. It's just like, he's always talked about how every life is its own, like, special, and all of a sudden he just doesn't feel that way anymore? What happened?
11 said, I've never met a single human being that wasn't special.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal. Saving the Earth has always been a big deal for the Doctor. because he spends so much time there. He cares so much about humans. Mm-hmm. They make him mad. They disappoint him, but he still, and I understand why he felt like this is a decision that humans need to make. It's your moon. Mm-hmm. It affects your planet. But if he really knew what the result was going to be overall, mm-hmm. I don't understand his motivation for them being like, you guys need to make this decision.
Yeah.
Because if Clara hadn't stopped her from blowing the whole moon up, she would have died. Mm-hmm. Sacrificing the moon to save the Earth.
Correct.
And then what would he have done? Like, oh, oops.
And he says something...
I didn't get back in time.
Doesn't he say, like, that he... I'm trying to remember exactly how this goes, because he tells her at one point that there are parts of time that he can't see.
Yeah, there's parts of time that are, like, gray.
Right.
Because not everything is a fixed moment in time. So certain things can be... Certain things can be changed.
So it can be changed, but he does have awareness of what choice she made in the version that he's looking at, right?
He knows that the Earth or the moon is an egg. This thing is going to hatch, but then it's going to lay a new moon egg, and everything's going to be fine. So he leaves them to make a decision, knowing that it doesn't matter what they decide. Well, it does matter, because if they'd blown up the creature, there would really be no moon. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know. Maybe he does know what her decision's going to be, but maybe because he knows that the creature made another egg, so whoever's there made the decision not to kill it. It just happens to be Clara and that lady whose name I don't know, and Courtney. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that he would be like, no, this doesn't concern me. Mm-hmm. Not my planet. So I'm going to peace out and leave you to it. Yeah,
the take the training wheels off thing was, I appreciated that she specifically throws that in his face as well. But yeah, like, it just... Trying to tell somebody that they need to make a decision and not giving them the information that you have to do it is cruel. It does not mean that if they make the wrong decision, that they really made the wrong decision. It means that they made a poorly informed choice. Mm-hmm. That's on you that they made a poorly informed choice. Like, what... It's a bizarre, and like you said, the whole thing with him not wanting to, like, allow this girl to think that she's special when previously he has said the exact opposite of that kind of thing and has seemed to really value other living beings, not just humans, but he has seemed to have a real, like, joy of curiosity about the rest of the world. And they try to do that here with his, like, reaction to finding out that it's an egg. There's this delight when he reports to them what it is that it belies all of the rest of his attitude. You know, how can he be so excited about this prospect when he also seems to hold everybody else in such contempt all the time? I just don't really understand the whole way that this was organized as a, like, character study for him, you know? And also it just follows on the heels of an episode where I was mad at Clara for not standing up for Danny. And then Danny is, like, turning around and, like, quasi defending the doctor after the doctor was, like, just such a dick to him. And I'm like, dude, like, he just hasn't earned that from you. What are you doing? But they apparently just don't want Clara to stay as mad as she has every right to stay. And so they had to put somebody in the script being like, but you still like him, though. And I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm all over the place on this.
Do you want to know what listeners thought?
I do. Tell me what they all thought.
Okay, so Sean said that he liked it at the start, but then the ending really ruined the whole thing for me. Edited to add, I can put up with a lot of weird things in Who and can really suspend my disbelief, but the moon being an egg just did not land with me. I didn't have a problem with the moon being an egg.
Yeah, I don't care about that. That's fine.
Ariel said it has a weird pro-life theme that I imagine will go over poorly and isn't great in most other regards, but I do think the fight Clara and the Doctor had is interesting and good character stuff. Austin said, this one I have mixed feelings on. I don't think it's good, and I completely understand people not liking the anti-abortion angle. For me, it's just the anti-abortion message is so muddled and combined with a more generic trolley problem like a moral issue that it weakens both arguments and makes them less coherent. Plus, unless I'm wrong, is abortion as hot a button issue in the UK as it is in the US?
I think yes.
Nick said, I liked this episode mostly because Clara hard slapped the Doctor in the face at the end, which she didn't. So I think he's thinking about a different episode.
Yeah.
Unless he means metaphorically.
Yeah, unless he means figuratively, in which case she kind of did.
Yeah.
But she should have.
Megan said, no, hated the whole moon is gone with no title changes thing. Ashley
Yeah,
said,
I think that the whole new egg being laid is supposed to mean that isn't a problem. But again, the whole new egg just doesn't make any sense.
Ashley said, this one was interesting right up until the reveal of the moon is an egg. Tori said, I think the best part of this was the orange suit returns. Love the silliness of the moon being an egg. We go back to humans killing things that were not here before them. Don't like the Doctor being rude to the kid. I love Capaldi as a Doctor so much, though this relationship feels more toxic than usual. Mm-hmm. From the other comments, the abortion commentary is hitting hard, especially it's not the same thing at all. They call it a parasite, similar to discussions about abortion. But they aren't a mother that is somewhat aware of what she's bringing into the world and how that will affect them before and after. This is an alien species they know next to nothing about. I see it more like the star whale. Mm-hmm. The hatch was cool. Gabriella said, interesting up until the reveal, as many have explained better than I could. Kat said it's her least favorite of Moffat's run. I haven't watched it back since it was first out, though. Diego really hated the moon being an egg. Jacob,
I find it really funny how many people are hung up on that, because for me that is just not the problem.
Jacob said, not memorable for me. I remember that the moon is an egg and they vote not to kill it. That's it. And then Tori said, but they don't vote not to kill it. So that means you really don't remember. Rebecca said kill the moon is goofy and terrible. And that's that.
So what I find really interesting, because I did pick up on the pro-choice thing happening, and I can't tell if that was at all intentional or if it was just an accidental byproduct of the language that has to be used when talking about this.
Yeah, I think it was an accidental byproduct. To me, it didn't seem like an allegory.
Yeah, I have to agree. I can understand people reading it that way, but I just don't feel like that was the point. If it was, then it's even more disgusting, the whole idea of the Doctor having information and not sharing it. That the whole point of people being pro-choice is the fundamental willingness to trust women that they know their own situation better than you do. And they have the right to make a decision that's going to majorly affect the rest of their lives. And you don't get to say anything about it. But if you are withholding information, then that completely nullifies the whole premise of the argument. So yeah, I don't think that that's actually what was meant to be happening here. But I could see if that is how you're reading it, that would ruin it. Mm-hmm. And it's not a particularly strong episode anyway, so that would just be the kiss of death.
Yeah, I didn't view it that way at all. And that was even watching it a second time after having read all of their comments and keeping those things in mind. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just didn't see it that way. Let me, pay attention.
Right.
Still didn't feel that way.
So Yeah, I like the moon is an egg thing. It's just, this is the thing that I find so interesting is how differently people remember or prioritize certain parts of the story over others. Mm-hmm. Because for me, the moon is an egg is just as stupid as a million other things that have happened on this show. So it like, and maybe the people who have said this would also say those things were stupid, you know, like it just doesn't, that for me, it just doesn't even make an impression. I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Like,
yeah, I had more of a problem with the Statue of Liberty being a weeping angel the first time I saw that episode than I cared at all about the moon being an egg.
Yeah.
Because what I remembered from that episode was not the emotional gravity of it, but no one fucking noticed the Statue of Liberty walking down the street. Mm-hmm. Like, that was what I took away from that episode originally. And it was super irritating. And then rewatching it, I'm like, oh, I'm so emotionally invested in these characters now that that's actually kind of funny that the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Or, like, the fucking giant spider woman living in the, you know, the sewers of London.
Yeah. God, that's so funny.
It's Doctor Who. The moon is an egg? Makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like something that would be on this show. That does not bother me at all.
Yeah.
Does it make sense that the creature immediately lays a new egg so we still have the moon and our tides aren't going to be fucked up? No. But
you know what else doesn't make sense?
A lot of things.
Yeah, like half the show. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just okay, let's start talking about this from the beginning of the episode because a lot of people were saying that they were enjoying it up until the moon is the egg point.
Sure.
I will be honest and say that I had the exact opposite read where I was so bored right up until the moon is an egg. And then I was like, word? Because like up till then, it's just a typical, like we're on a planet, something's wrong. There are creatures killing people one by one.
Yeah.
Which that's just done to death. It's not interesting to me anymore.
They never explained why there were cobwebs. They point out that there are cobwebs and then never bring it up again. So there's these little creatures that are apparently bacteria that look like giant spiders. Mm-hmm. But they're not the ones making the cobwebs? Or are they?
I think they're meant to be, yeah.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
It's never explained.
But it you know, well, first of all, I have to mention too that the way that the opening is filmed beyond, you know, we have the whole thing with Clara and the student who wants to be special, but clearly isn't because why would she be? We jump ahead to 2049. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. He says be the first woman on the moon, but, like, they're in 2049 when it happens. So, like, does that even actually count? I don't think so. Anyway, the whole way that it's filmed is sort of fun because, like, when they're inside the shuttle, it looks very ordinary Who. But then when they go into, like, the outdoors, the lighting changes and it's much more like washed out, which has the effect of making things sort of feel a little bit more sinister, you know? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very cinematic and I enjoyed the look of it because it almost felt like Battlestar Galactica a couple times. You know how they can do that sort of blue filter thing occasionally?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a neat feel. This is like different. And then we had the like crew is getting picked off one by one and, you know, why are they doing this? What can they be? I'm sure that the explanation is going to be something that's meant to reveal a huge truth that we didn't yep, there it is. They're actually bacteria. The moon has gained weight is meant to be a, you know, the effect of the moon having grown because it's an egg. So it's gestating in there.
Yeah.
God, I hate the word gestating though. I really do. It's just, there's certain words that you're just like, So yeah, the crew disappearing one by one, it could have worked for me. There are episodes where they've done this where it has worked because there's a tension, and I just, for whatever reason, didn't really feel the tension this time around. I don't know if it's because the Doctor started off on my bad side so completely due to the way that he behaved with that student that I was still fuming over that by the time we got into this part of the story. I feel like that might be it. Because, like, this is sort of like the submarine episode in some ways, you know? Where there's, like, a monster hiding out and people are, you know, disappearing as they search, trying to find out what's happening. And that worked for me in that respect.
It's funny that you mentioned that because Clara actually references that specific episode.
Does she?
Essentially. Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember
She
that.
talks about, he says something about the TARDIS will come back, and she says, the last time you said that, it ended up on the other side of the Earth.
Oh.
The TARDIS will find us or whatever.
Right.
It'll return. And that was when they were on that submarine and end up on the North Pole, and the TARDIS was at the South Pole.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, it's funny that you're like, this is like that episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They filmed the moon stuff on Lanzarote, which is one of the Canary Islands off the coast of West Africa. It's known for its year-round warm weather, beaches, and volcanic landscape.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Does it have black sand beaches? I always think that's the coolest thing. I've never seen a black sand beach. I would love to check that out.
It doesn't look like it, no.
I've also never
regular
seen a
sand
white
beaches.
sand beach, to be fair. I've been on
gone to
lovely
Hawaii?
beaches, but... What?
You haven't gone to Hawaii?
I have not gone to Hawaii.
Yeah, me neither.
Hawaii is bonkers expensive.
Actually, it looks like some of the beaches do have some black sand. And then some have some regular sand.
Oh, if it's only some, then it just looks like dirty sand.
No, I mean, like, there are beaches that...
Have straight
in
up
certain
black
areas
sand.
on, yeah.
Cool.
Depends on what part of the island you're on, it looks like.
I don't think I even knew that there were such things as black sand beaches until I listened to that Ludacris song where he sings about it. So thanks, Ludacris, for opening my eyes to the black sand beach concept.
He's taught you a lot.
He really has. He's been instrumental
Luda.
in my life. I gotta thank him.
I mean, if you're thinking about moving, and here's something Atlanta has that no one else has. It's Ludacris. We have him here. He lives here. Just saying.
We were talking before we started recording about like meeting a celebrity and how I would often just, I suspect, be like, I just don't want to bother them. And I wouldn't say anything. But Ludacris is somebody that I would absolutely be like, dude, oh my God. I would definitely be like, can I get a selfie, please? Will you rap? And I will make it my outgoing message on my voicemail. Like, please, a million different things for me right now. And I would remember it as a cherished thing all my day. And if he was an asshole to me, that would almost be better. I wouldn't even mind because I'm like, yeah, Lude.
I've heard he's actually incredibly nice.
I have heard that also.
Yeah.
And he's been in like movies and stuff, which I always forget that he's like done some acting.
Oh, he's like one of the main guys in all those
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen a single one of those. Actually, that's not
Same.
true. I went to see Tokyo Drift in a drive-in, but I was having sex, so I just didn't really pay attention.
I have not seen any, and my friend keeps telling me that I should watch them because they're just dumb fun. Mm-hmm. But I can't. I just can't.
I understand. There's like a level of dumb fun that it turns itself around and isn't fun anymore. And
But then they get like Charlize Theron in it, and I'm like, should I be watching these movies?
yeah, this was also how I felt about Triple X with Vin Diesel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I watched one of those. I can't remember. I was watching it with Owen. I remember that. And there's some moment where like his motorcycle goes off a cliff so that he can jump off of it onto the hanging rappel harness hanging from a helicopter. And I just went, all right. And I turned it off.
I think the Fast and Furious movies are probably not for you then.
Yeah.
Also not that one that The Rock was in where he was jumping from one hotel window to the other. What was that called? High Rise or something? I don't remember. But the internet went crazy with the poster trying to show like how that would never happen.
I mean, I just have such a fear of heights that it would just not be fun to watch either. Yikes. No, thank you. There's that whole thing in Mission Impossible where he's like on the...
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, I could not watch that. I couldn't do it.
Where he like literally, because Tom Cruise is a fucking maniac, climbed out the window of the tallest building in the world. Mm-hmm. And actually did it.
Can you imagine if he died? Oh my God, I would never stop laughing.
I would never stop laughing either because he literally never dies in movies. Pay attention. Tom Cruise never dies in any movie.
Is that in his contract, do you think?
I think so.
That's amazing.
I've been like, I noticed it after a couple of things and I was like, wait a minute. And so I started paying attention in every movie of his that I've watched since. He never dies. Except in Live, Die, Repeat. But he keeps coming back to life.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
That's hysterical. For me, if I were an actor, I would love to do a death scene.
Well, then, Sean Bean has it made.
Hey! Has anybody done a supercut of all Sean Bean's death scenes?
Oh, surely someone has.
I wonder how similar they are. And I wonder in how many of them he gets to say goodbye first.
They took the little ones.
I failed you.
My king.
So, anyway, what the fuck were we talking about? Jesus Christ. They managed to send back some screams. Oh my God. This dialogue. So yeah, they're here to investigate what happened to a mining crew that came up here and apparently just vanished. And eventually they begin coming across the corpses, which are wound up in the cobwebs that you spoke of earlier.
One of them is. The other ones are outside.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So granted that these things are bacteria, why are they attacking them though? Because bacteria don't just attack whatever the fuck is around.
I guess if the bacteria exists to protect the fetus.
Is that what they're there for?
Yeah. So it's a foreign thing in the environment.
Okay.
But isn't that more antibodies?
That's what I honestly, when this was beginning, I was like, oh, it's going to turn out that these are like antibodies, like that episode with the Dalek.
Well, that's probably why they didn't call them antibodies, because they just did it.
Yeah. Which, guys, maybe if you just did it, just do something else. How about that? Because just calling it by a different name doesn't really change what this is, which is an almost identical concept when you get down to it. Again, people wandering around inside of a being. They know it from the outset in the other one, which they don't during this one, but it does then there's the whole, do we kill it? Do we not? Question,
Yeah.
It's the same conundrum over and over again.
And really, it birthed a dragon. So someone read Game of Thrones.
Somebody read Game of Thrones.
Wrote this episode.
This is part of why I'm also not mad that the moon is an egg. Because it's just a fun idea that some weird mythological thing turns out to be correct. You know, that's not an unusual concept to play with. But that's a pretty dramatic one. Unfortunately, it's over
really
in 2 seconds.
In Game of Thrones, and in the books too. They don't linger on it. But when, I don't know if it's Eerie or Jiki that says it, the moon is an egg. It is known. I love that. It's cool. Mm-hmm. And it, there used to be 2 and 1 cracked open and all the dragons came out.
Gross. I just wish that the moment where it hatches in the show was a little bit more satisfying.
They didn't have the budget for it, I guess.
I'm sure they didn't. I mean, yeah. I don't even need to, I don't know. I guess it would be more like, I would love the gravity of that moment to feel like it had sunk in. And I guess the only way to... Oh. Get out. Get out.
Okay, bye.
How amazing would that be if you just hung up on me right now? But I maybe what would have worked for me is people all over the world stopping and staring up at the sky being like, is that a fucking dragon? Because really we only have our people seeing it, and then it just flies away and is completely invisible 2 seconds later. Mm-hmm. What if the dragon did a circuit of the planet and we had, the whole montage of people at every major wonder of the world standing up at the Eiffel Tower, at the pyramids of Giza going, a dragon just flew over us, sort of Independence Day style. You know how they do that?
Well, I guess it's too far away to see what the... But they saw it.
They saw it! You can see the moon!
You can see the moon? I mean, how big is it? I guess it's as big as the moon.
Yeah. And then it lays another egg immediately. How? Explain to me. It's an infant.
It just creates an egg inside of itself as it's cooking.
Somebody is going to come at me with a species that literally has in utero still has eggs in its system already. Somebody is going to tell me about it.
Please pass that information on to me if they do.
I
would like to know.
I know that human babies that are assigned female at birth, I never really know how to reference that, have eggs in their system already. We have a set number, but we don't lay them.
We don't. Yeah.
So it's not the same. That laugh was so goofy. What happened?
I just was trying to picture if we did.
It would be so gross. Oh my god. Talk about wet tubes.
I'm sorry, I can't come to work today. I have to lay an egg.
Can you, I mean, every place that you worked would have to have, an area that people could deal with the egg laying? Because it wouldn't just be in the bathroom. Unless there was, a disposal unit there, if they were unfertilized. Anyway, I just really, I'm sorry, guys. Did you know that, hens lay eggs from the same chute that they poop from?
No.
So when you...
Makes sense, though.
When you get an egg from a chicken, you really have to, wash it. Because if you crack it just, straight up, it will just have poop all over it. So beware of that.
I did have chickens when I was younger. I don't remember them being covered in poop.
It's not it's not like they're rolled in it or anything, but the bacteria is on them because it's the same chute.
Is that why you can get salmonella?
I don't think so, because you can get salmonella from chicken meat.
Yeah, but if you were to get salmonella from chicken eggs, it's because of the shell, not the egg, not the contents of the egg.
I don't know then.
I believe I learned that in pastry school when I had to take all of the
egg
that
classes.
Portion of the class that was all about the bacteria, and all that shit. It made me never want to eat anything ever again.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Pretty sure that salmonella, you can get salmonella from eggs if they're not properly washed.
Okay.
And that must be why, because they come out of raw chicken.
Gross. So, okay.
This is a fun episode.
I'm trying to think what else, because I feel like we've practically talked about everything already. Oh my God, we didn't talk about the part where Courtney floats in the air. I do not understand what happened here. Explain it to me. Jamie.
That's my
Jamie,
explanation.
Are you there? Did I lose to you?
There's no reason for it. Suddenly, gravity didn't work.
So, they don't explain that? They have to explain it.
They didn't explain it.
Are you sure? Are we going to get an angry email?
I do not remember there being an explanation. All of a sudden, she's floating, and the thing is coming for her, and he's like, catch my yo-yo.
Why does that sound so obscene when you just said that? Oh, I hated it.
Sorry. Because suddenly he had a yo-yo.
I mean, he had a yo-yo when they first got there.
I know.
And that was how he showed that, like, gravity was working and it shouldn't be.
The yo-yo thing was, I mean, people were upset about the egg. That was one of the things where I was really annoyed. I don't know why it annoyed me so much. That suddenly he's got a yo-yo and he's like, why is my yo-yo behaving this way? Like,
I don't know why it annoys you so much either, because, like, they just love giving the doctor weird shit to carry around in his pockets that he suddenly pulls out. He's like Mary Poppins.
I know.
So
I don't know why it bothered me so much either, but it did.
Is it because he's been so angry that you don't feel he gets to be whimsical?
Maybe.
Because I could understand that, actually. And just kind of feeling like, yo, you don't get to make him, like, rage at people and then immediately turn around and have, like, a childlike wonder about a fucking yo-yo. So you know what? You convinced me, Jamie. Good argument you made.
I'm trying to see if these notes say anything about why Courtney suddenly...
That's what I was going to ask, if
floated
it's
in
in
the
the
air.
synopsis at all.
Doesn't seem to be.
I just don't, like... I can't believe that they just don't answer the question. All right, so he pulls the window off. He says, Courtney, grab my yo-yo. As soon as she touches it, she falls to the ground. And that glowing spider bacteria is right there. I will say that the glowingness of it was pretty dope looking. She winds up, solving the mystery by spraying it with the germ thing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she asks, why did I just fly? This is nuts. Did you say germs? Oh my God, this is incredible. It's the size of a badger. No, I guess they don't. She asks, why did I just fly? But he doesn't answer. What happened? How can that be? How can that be? How can they do that and then just not explain it?
Not even, like, a little bit of explanation. Not even, like, there was a weird, like, moonquake and it adjusted the lack of gravity temporarily. Like, there was nothing. And they weren't floating.
No. And she still floats until she grabs the yo-yo, and which makes her, like, drop to the ground as if the yo-yo itself is the force of gravity somehow. There has... I can't accept this. I can't accept that there's no explanation. I have to have just missed it. I'm just going to... Okay, look. I'm just going to Google it. I'm just going to Google... Why does Courtney float? Doctor Who moon. Courtney's cleaning stuff comes in handy after all. No. The floating is because the moon's increased bulk seems to be able to move. What does that mean?
That doesn't make sense either. Because there was nothing that happened before she started floating. Was there?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. These notes are not helpful because they say Henry investigates a cave outside the base and is killed by a large spider, another of which then enters the base and begins menacing the Doctor, Clara, Courtney, and Lundvik, and kills Duke. Courtney kills it with a detergent, and the Doctor works out that they're germs.
So, Is it supposed to be that, like, the embryo inside the egg moved and thus changed the gravitational pull in just this section of the egg? I don't feel like that's how gravity would work in that case.
That's not how gravity works, but I could understand it if, like, it's continuing to, like, start to hatch and it causes, like, a quake, which adjusts the level of gravity briefly. If everybody else was floating too.
Right.
So it seems like it was just something they wanted to do because they thought would look cool.
Please, people, write in. Reassure me. Tell me that there was a reason for this. This is just maddening. Oh my God. Okay. You know what? I'm so irritated by that I can't, like, focus. I gotta focus. I'm sorry.
And this is before they realize it's an egg, because it's after that the doctor jumps down this hole and comes out with amniotic fluid and says it's an egg.
I will say, in terms of that, I appreciated that this was like, because I was actually just thinking earlier in this episode while watching it, nothing ever happens to the doctor because he's never the one that, like, goes first into rooms where they're, like, worried that shit's gonna, like, he doesn't get attacked by stuff often. They have to have, like, the red shirts get attacked. And it was kind of lovely that right after I thought that, they have the doctor get attacked. I was like, oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Because also I just enjoy seeing the doctor scream. Him just being like, ah! That was pretty fun. But, wow. Okay. This is when they find the other bodies outside and the webbing, which you are right, bacteria probably wouldn't do this. What happens to this is a whole other episode. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just have a tickle in the bottom of my throat.
I hate that feeling.
And you can't cough and make it go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep drinking, hoping it'll make it go away.
Out of context, you say that is very sad. So let's just bear with me here, guys. I know that this isn't what they decided to do, but think about it. The moon is an egg. The shell is covered in bacteria that are creepy spiders. The egg hatches, and the moon breaks into pieces. The dragon flies away. The pieces of the shell covered in creepy spider bacteria plummet to Earth, infecting all of Earth with giant spider bacteria. What do you think?
I don't like the giant spider bacteria plummeting to Earth.
I mean, doesn't that sound like that'd be what would have to happen, though?
Well,
where's the shell going?
Yeah. I did think about that when I was watching it. It's like, well, so none of the moon rock ends up coming down to the Earth?
Yeah, that would be a disaster for us. Like, even if it's hollow, that's still a lot of mass that just, like, broke into pieces and started floating around. And the moon's orbiting the Earth, so it's subject to our gravity. I don't know if it would just stay in orbit around us, and so the moon would have a bunch of, like, friends hanging around. Would we eventually develop a second moon?
That is something that is mentioned in the show, right?
Is it?
I think the astronaut, she says, is it going to just fall to the Earth, or does it enter the orbit? And I started thinking, like, well, that'd be kind of cool, because that would maybe make us have a ring.
Oh, that'd be fun. I could go for a ring.
Yeah, like if the Earth suddenly had a ring like Saturn, that'd be pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah.
But instead it just
vanishes, evidently.
Vanishes. Like, I guess when the egg hatched, it just was such tiny little pieces that it floated away.
Well, I think we should have rings. So.
I do too.
Um.
So then Clara, they managed to get a little bit of the satellite feed so that she can broadcast to the Earth. She tells them what's going on, and she says, we can see you from up here. So here, give your votes. Lights off to kill it. Lights on to not kill it. And every fucking person on Earth is like, the moon is an egg, kill it.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like, haha,
no.
I'm definitely not going to do what you said.
Yeah, at the last second, she's like, nope, we're not doing that. But, how disappointing is it that every person on Earth is like, well, I know it means that we're going to have tidal waves and we're all going to die, but that needs to die too.
So you wouldn't have voted to kill it?
No.
What would you have wanted them to do?
I don't know, but I don't like killing creatures, so no, absolutely not.
Okay. I don't know what I would have voted, being perfectly honest. Because, we don't know. The idea of
aren't we
being...
essentially fucked either way?
Sure, but,
from what we're looking at is either way, we're losing our moon, we're all going to die. Why do we need to kill that thing? It's just an innocent thing that's hatching.
But we don't know that it's innocent.
Well, it doesn't matter, because once the moon goes away, we're not going to have tides. We're just going to have high tide.
I don't know why that just got me laughing so hard. We're just going to have high tide.
That's what they've been saying.
Would it be always high tide, or would it just be medium tide? Because it gets evened out.
Does it?
I think so. Doesn't it?
If the moon's gone?
Yeah, because it's high tide places where the moon's gravity is pulling the water in and making it deeper in that area. So if there's no moon at all, the water just sloshes down and is even all over the planet. You know what I mean?
Do we have any people who listen to this that are scientists?
I think I was very scientific with my sloshing down explanation. I don't know why you would ever need or want further explanation.
I'm just wondering, I'm sure this has been hypothesized before, so if there was no moon, the moon controls our tides. Does the water just lay there flat like a lake?
Also, there's the whole, this was the plot of the Broken Earth series.
Oh,
so,
really?
Read that for more information.
I started to read that early on in the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this right now.
That's fair. It is a very upsetting series. I don't blame you.
I have the whole trilogy, but I have not gone back to it yet because I'm still not quite in a place where I want to read anything too upsetting.
Mm-hmm. I get that. So anyway, yeah, the doctor tells them it's an egg. This woman's immediately like, how do we kill it? And he's like absolutely horrified. Says that you just have a giant corpse floating in the sky, which he's not wrong. But would the corpse provide gravitational pulls for our waterways is really the question.
It's not a question they ask.
It's
though.
not. That's my thing is nobody asks the right questions. So anyway, I feel like we've talked about the whole, eventually Clara just stops her from doing it, and that they've given themselves 45 minutes. What exactly is meant to happen at the end of the 45 minutes? Just that she decides to flip the switch? It's nothing automatic, is it?
She sets the timer for an hour.
Oh, okay. Because Clara says 45 minutes at the beginning of the episode, but it's been going by then.
By the time they get the feed through NASA or whatever, there's only 45 minutes left.
Gotcha.
Or that when she makes the statement to the people of Earth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was like any other kind of bomb. That was the countdown.
I mean, she has to physically flip the thing, though, because Clara stops her. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she just basically did that to be dramatic. All right, lady, I see you. I do also, if they decide to kill it, you're still blowing up the moon. So, yeah, I guess I see what you mean about just like we're fucked either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're fucked either way, why do we need to kill the thing?
Because maybe one way it's just like inconvenient, and the other way it's we get eaten alive by this massive creature. Maybe
it's one way is nice and the other way is, oh, we're humans and our first instinct is kill it.
Because, like, eggs are different depending on the species, and we have just been operating like, oh yeah, this will hatch and a creature will come out of it. But we don't know that. It could be like a spider egg. Where it's just like hundreds and hundreds of something come out of it. I'm saying.
You want to hear a terrible story?
No, I do not. Thank you. Moving on.
I lived in LA.
No, Jamie. I said no. No means no.
Okay, fine.
Don't you do it. You can share it in the comments on this episode in the group.
It's the telling of the story that's good. It doesn't read as well as it sounds.
That makes me want to hear it even less. All right, fine. Tell the story. Now everybody's going to be mad at me if I don't let you tell the story. Oh, Jamie's the victim so now. Oh, Natasha doesn't want to hear about creepy spiders. Okay. I'm the bad guy.
So we had this love seat and then a couch, and my roommate was on the love seat, and she kept hearing something, and so she turned around to look at the curtains, and our curtains were white, and she saw something. She's like, what is that? And she moves the curtain, and it was this egg sac from a spider, and it was so big, and we like looked at it and could see all these little spiders inside. It was fucking horrifying, and we were like, how do we get this out of here without all of those spiders coming out?
Mm-hmm.
And so we went and got our neighbor.
Oh my god.
We were like, please come take care of the spider egg sac. And he came over with a vacuum and like sucked it up off of the curtains and then left and went back home. I
can't be alone in thinking that can't have been the end of it. Because there is no possible way that they all just died.
I don't know if they died, but they were in his vacuum.
Oh my god, that neighbor, what? Oh, that's a horror story. That's coming back. I hate it. No.
I don't know why he thought like that was the solution, but we were just willing, like, whatever you need to do, please get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Because she could hear them. That's how she noticed.
I don't understand how she heard them. What did it sound like?
She said it was like she could hear like movement. So I don't know. I didn't get my ear close enough to it. I truly
hate this.
To figure that out.
I'm so mad at you.
It's the only time I've ever seen a spider egg like that, and I don't ever want it ever again.
Ugh. I'm disgusted.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys are all happy. You all insisted that I let her tell the story. I could hear you from here. So, I hope that you enjoyed that, you sick fucks. All right. So, okay, is there anything else that you want to say about this episode? Because I feel like we've covered it.
I would like to give you some of the Clara and Danny Pink feedback.
Oh, right. Yes. Tell me.
Austin was pretty indifferent about Danny Pink. He said he's fine, but I don't love him. He seems like a decent person. With Clara, I actually really like her, especially her in the 12th Doctor. I do like that she's a bit less willing to put up with his shit, already compared to Amy and 11 or most of 10's companions. Unfortunately, I'm realizing most of what I like about her is in the next season.
The thing about her, like, being less willing to put up with his shit doesn't really work for me because he's so much more of an asshole this season.
Yeah.
That I feel like probably Amy wouldn't have put up with him being the way that he is here either, you know?
Yeah. Sean said, I think most of the hate for Clara came from Series 7 when she was mostly just a plot device. In Series 8 and 9, redacted, can't tell you that. People thought she took priority over the Doctor in Season 8, which, redacted.
I didn't know that she would be around for a whole nother season, and I'm a little bit bummed about it.
As for Danny, I just found him bland, never hated him, though.
Okay.
Laura said, in Series 7, she was a great-looking plot device. I'm kind of over that role, if you can even call it that, for women. I didn't like the shift towards her as the star of the show either, although watching The Doctor, redacted, was interesting. I think it's something that happens in the next couple episodes. I like Danny just fine. He deserved better, just like Mickey. And overall, everybody's like, Danny is fine. I didn't like Clara in Season 7.
So nobody is saying that they felt the way fans seemed to feel as a whole when this was originally airing.
Yeah, like Ryan says, I think Clara gets way better once the whole Impossible Girl plotline goes away. Some of the stories don't, but Clara does. Ben said, I didn't like a lot of the show post Matt Smith, but after a rewatch recently, I've been loving the 12th Doctor. Tegan loved Oswin, the Dalek, and the potential that that character had. Mm-hmm. I came to absolutely hate the mystery girl, Clara, who was born to save the Doctor.
Yeah.
I was just so sick of everything being so epic. Donna is my all-time favorite companion. No romance or flirtation, no grand overarching, it's all about her plots. Clara was the opposite of that, and it rubbed me the wrong way. Although I loved her and Danny together. And like Natasha, I cannot get over how pretty she is.
It's stupid. I'm constantly disgusted. I was thinking, like, I realized the other day that there is a character that is described as, like, so beautiful that it's, like, annoying, and that I was picturing her in that role the whole time, which I stand by completely.
Kat said, my issue with Clara stems from the fact that she's a perfect example of the companions being a plot point and not a person. Mm-hmm. In Series 7, her character changes every episode to who she needs to be for that adventure rather than being the same person across the whole thing. Then when we get over that in Season 8, especially, a lot of Clara's character is told to us instead of seen.
Yeah.
My main example is the conversation between her and 12 in the restaurant in the first episode of the season where they think the other person has left a message. He calls her a needy game player, and that's not something we've ever seen.
No. And she even says something about how, like, she can never keep her mouth shut. Mm-hmm. And I'm like... Have you met a woman who can't keep her mouth shut? Because that's not Clara at all. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
I do like that she becomes more reckless over the series instead of being someone to hold him back. But the fact that her character is told to us rather than shown rubs me the wrong way. I like Danny though because of how he and the Doctor butt heads so much. And he doesn't just blindly follow.
Yeah, I mean, except that he just sort of, like, sticks up for him a tiny bit at the end of this episode. I mean, not really. Like, he doesn't justify what he did exactly. He just doesn't really wholeheartedly agree with Clara's rage.
Yeah.
Which, to me, that's another example of them not being on each other's side the way that I want them to be. Mm-hmm. You know? Like, I don't know. I feel like they could be much more supportive of one another. And he really, when it's a situation like this, where it's all said and done, the crisis is past, and you giving your opinion wouldn't actually, like, change anything about what happened, it's even less risky to be like, I agree with you straight up, you know, just say that you are on her side. It wouldn't hurt anything.
Right.
It just bothers me that neither of them really advocates for the other ever. I don't understand it.
Kat also said that the doctor suddenly, randomly deciding that he doesn't like soldiers is a completely new thing and makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So her biggest problem with Danny isn't about him, it's about the doctor.
Yeah, I think that seems to be, like, the thing with Danny is sort of a symptom of a greater problem that the show has with companions and female characters. But the doctor specifically this season feels like he's throwing a wrench in everything, where I have been willing to, like, let it go on some things, but they're just sort of giving him, like, character traits. It's interesting. Somebody just said that Clara is whoever she needs to be for that adventure to happen. And I kind of feel like that about the doctor.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels like he's suddenly very anti whatever or very pro whatever, just purely based on what they want to happen this time. And it's not based on anything that we've actually seen from him before. I don't know. It feels like a mess.
Tori said that from our last episode, really good insights, this episode about the hangover of emotions from Amy and Rory. I agree to a point, but also there is the comparison itself is rough. Rory always questions the doctor, but it was rarely to Amy. It was always straight at the doctor, and there was still respect and charm. I miss the charm of Amy and Rory. Clara is charming with people they meet on their adventures, but I rarely feel that charm with the doctor, and almost zero with Danny. I also feel like Natasha's comparison of Danny being barely there slash woman, or barely there woman slash love interest is on point. And how often do we resent that character because they interfere with the fun we are supposed to be having?
It's interesting for him to be in that role, too, because it's almost always women.
Yeah.
It's always, like, guys going out having the adventure, and then they're, like, girlfriend or wife who's such a nag, who doesn't want them to do the dangerous thing. And it's sort of funny to have that be inverted.
That's the cop's wife trope.
Yeah, cop's wife, or... It could be the... what's the other one that I watched recently that was so... Oh, it was like a soldier wife. It was Owen's grandfather was watching oh my god. Not Transformers. What's the other one based on a game? Battleship. He was watching Battleship. Oh my god.
I lasted about 5 minutes.
His grandfather has such bad taste. It is so funny. We'll come over, he's watching Battleship. He'll be like, "You seen this?" "Yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good." I just love what he just says. Pretty good, with total sincerity.
That's like when my mom told me that her favorite movie was Armageddon.
She didn't.
And I was like, no, that can't be your favorite movie. And she's like, it's great. And I was like, it's fun. That can't be your favorite movie.
Oh my god.
It can't be. I could not accept it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I have never,
full
disclosure,
like
I've never seen Armageddon.
Oh, it's really fun. It's a really fun movie, but it should not be anyone's favorite movie. It's really stupid and very fun.
I mean, my favorite movie is Home Alone, so I guess I shouldn't say anything.
But Home Alone is a good movie.
It's a well-constructed film, everybody. Shut up.
Yeah. Home Alone's a great movie, actually.
It is.
I watch it every year. Sean pointed out that the last episode was mostly written before Capaldi was cast, so there was definitely some hangover from the Matt Smith era. And in that respect, I could kind of see that episode played by Matt Smith with less animosity towards the companion's boyfriend, though. Unless he was into her, which they were kind of building up to towards the end there, then that would make sense.
I really wish I understood why they, like...
Like, just because it's still the same guy played by a different actor, I can see, like, well, this story, we can just do it later. Except that they allow these actors to make the role their own.
Right.
and play it how they want. So the Doctor's different with every actor. His personality is different.
And you're right.
this
He's
Doctor
really angry all the time.
Yeah. This Doctor is not like Matt Smith.
No.
At all. He's the opposite. There's no joy. I would like one episode where he's having fun.
He has joy when he discovers that the moon's an egg. That's it.
It's brief. Yeah, it's brief. And it doesn't last.
And it's only there because we need him to be excited, to be a foil for this woman who's horrified and wants to kill it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's really the whole reason.
Like, remember that episode with James Corden, the first one, where the Doctor's, like, building that thing in the bedroom, and he's just got so much glee.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's happening here. That energy is gone.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, if I'm really, like, looking back at why I stopped watching Doctor Who, it's this stuff. Like, the stories weren't holding my attention, and the Doctor was not
likable.
He was not likable. He was not. There wasn't enough reason. Like, I liked Clara, even when she was kind of a nothing burger. I still liked her, and maybe that's because Jenna Coleman is so fucking beautiful that I just want to watch her do anything. Mm-hmm. And I really, really liked Oswin, so I was like really holding on to like that character becoming this character in some way.
I could see that.
But this Doctor is really hard for me. And people still say, like, I really like 12, he's my favorite Doctor or whatever, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
And we are 7 episodes into his season, and by this time, even when I went into season 5 with reservations because I knew I hadn't, like, had the best feelings about that season originally, I always liked Matt Smith, and I liked him even more within one episode of him being the Doctor. I already was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. I really like him, and I like his portrayal of the Doctor. I like his version of the Doctor. I don't like Peter Capaldi's version of the Doctor.
I feel
really
like
want to.
I definitely agree about his being angry. I find that there are times where I find his anger very funny. And so I begin to think, oh, maybe I like this version. But it's really more of the fact that, like, when his anger is directed at people who don't deserve it, it would be funny to see him be angry at people who genuinely do deserve it, but other folks don't stand up to them or don't call them out or whatever. But it always feels like he's punching down.
Yeah.
You know? And that, for me, is an unforgivable. You don't punch down. Just don't.
Yeah, it's just, I need him to lighten up a little. He can be angry. I'd like to know why he's so angry.
Well, that's sort of the thing, right? Like, and his hatred of soldiers. Like, where the fuck did that come from? There just feels like there's a lot of inexplicable, very passionate reactions that he has to things. And I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And people say that, like, the 9th Doctor was angry, but he wasn't. He was a little angry. Not like this.
Yeah,
the
I didn't
10th Doctor
find him
was
to
a
be.
little angry. Not like this.
The 10th Doctor came across as much more tortured.
Yeah.
There didn't really feel like there was a good reason for that, but that's the way it felt. And
yeah, he was very emotional.
Yeah.
The 9th Doctor was very joyous.
Mm-hmm. I would say that. Yeah, well, all right. I feel like we've covered everything. I really do. Yeah. Let me say hi to new patrons real quick. This week we've got Lauren Tyler, Sophia Dearden, Jake Bjornley. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Jake. Bia Kinke, and Nellie Bohake. Bach. I don't know.
Apologies,
Nellie,
for all of that.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Nellie. I always enjoy it when somebody like gets at me and is like, you actually pronounce my name pretty close. It's not like, yeah, you got it. It's like, wow, it was better than I thought you'd do. Same. But yeah, welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for being patrons. Make sure to join the Facebook group. And if you guys are interested in becoming patrons, you can do so at patreon.com/unspoiled. Miles and I are in the midst of covering the second Mistborn book, which is called The Well of Ascension. And it has been pretty fun. It is a very political show in its way. So be ready for that. We end every episode by saying, fuck the police. And overall, I've been having a really good time covering that. And if you're interested in knowing what's coming later, it will be a long time because we're going to finish the whole Mistborn series. But once we do, it's going to be the Sookie Stackhouse series. And I'll be doing that one with Miles also. And I'm very much looking forward to that.
Have you read those?
Yeah, I've read all of them. See, he's going to be the unspoiled one for that. I felt like after putting up with the Twilight series, he deserved a good vampire story as a reward, as a treat.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, I'm very generous. So, yeah, that is what's going on there. And then Rashawn and I are going to be covering Galaxy Quest for the next Unsober episode, which I think I mentioned last week.
Is that this week?
No, it's next because this weekend it's Rashawn's mother's birthday. So it would have been if we were sticking to our normal schedule, but we had to push it off.
It's good because I have a Band of Brothers thing that I'm doing, and I would hate to miss Galaxy Quest.
Ew. What's the Band of Brothers thing?
One of the actors from Band of Brothers started this thing where he's getting actors from the series to do a Zoom session, and he sells tickets. The money goes to charity. And the one they did a couple weeks ago was with the girl who played the nurse in one episode and the actor who played the medic. And those two hadn't actually seen each other for 20 years. So that was fun. And they just talk about what it was like to make the series and talk about they answer questions from audience, whatever. They take questions ahead of time, so nobody who's participating other than them are on camera or able to talk.
Okay.
But it's just really interesting for me because I just love everything to do with Band of Brothers, and I love hearing about what it was like to film it. So I'm really interested in that stuff. But one of the real medic, his grandson is really involved with a lot of things to do with World War II history. He's trying to make sure that their legacies don't get forgotten. And so he's worked with the actors quite a bit, and he was on, and I reached out to him to see if he would be willing to come on a special episode of our Unspoiled Band of Brothers podcast.
That's cool.
And he said he would absolutely do that. So I just need to organize that with him and Krista.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and I'm hoping by doing this, because it's not a lot of people that are in it, that maybe I will be able to snag a couple of the actors who are willing to be interviewed. We'll see.
Well, guys, go check out Band of Brothers that Jamie and Krista recorded.
Yeah.
BT Dubs.
We did that a couple of years ago, and honestly, I look on Spreaker every once in a while. We still get downloads of that almost every day.
What is it under? Because it's not Unspoiled Band of Brothers.
It's Undeclared.
Undeclared, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we covered the series and the book. So we started out doing one episode of the series and one episode covering the chapters of the book that were relevant to that episode. But then we just started combining it instead of doing, just book episodes every other week.
Right.
And then we also read some of the books that the surviving guys ended up writing after the fact, and we did a lot of research, or I did a lot of research. She wasn't allowed to research anything.
True.
She was unspoiled. But I'm really proud of it. So if you guys are interested in Band of Brothers, please check it out. It was a really fun show to do. You get to hear both Krista and I cry on mic. So
that is
That's fun.
There's something about doing that you're just like simultaneously like, all right, I'm just going to be genuine here and let this happen. But also, I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in the last episode. We both started crying quite a bit talking about the real guys and what they dealt with when they came back and stuff. So, I'm just very interested in World War II history, and Band of Brothers in particular. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my dad. Something that he and I shared. So being able to participate in these Zoom sessions is really fun.
That's cool.
And the money goes to charity, so.
Hey! The money from your merch? What are you talking about? Money goes to charity.
They sell tickets, so they only let a certain number of people in for the Zoom.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't even realize that it was like a ticketed event. Gotcha.
Yeah, so you buy entrance, and then the money from those tickets goes to, they split it up with however many people are the guests on the session. They each pick a charity, and they split the money.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really always feel at the end of these that there is one more announcement that I was going to make that I didn't. And I'm sorry, because it seems like that's not actually true, but I feel it in my bones. See?
I don't know.
See?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about Clone Wars, but...
Yeah, no, pretty much everything is on track with that. We're deciding how we're going to approach the rest of the season, because it's been a little bit rough, and we're wondering if doing a binge for the rest of season 1 will help, but we're not sure. But yeah, if you're in the patron group, you'll be seeing conversations about that. So, but yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you guys again so much for listening. Please tell me that there's a reason why Courtney floated. If you know of one, I really need that, and to just kind of smooth things over in my brain. And we will see you next week with a new episode. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.